Well, good afternoon. It's Dan Lane with another episode, I guess, if you will, of the real state of real estate. You can always email me at homesbydan616 at gmail.com. I currently work for Success Realty, and I'm going to talk today a little bit about what does it take to get into real estate. So again, just a little bit of my journey. I spent over 20 years in the RV industry and decided to make a little bit of a switch this year. Uh, Wanted to give real estate a try and see what this whole thing is about. And there's a few things that I kind of wish I had known prior to jumping in. So just some odd things. If you're planning on getting into real estate, just know you're gonna spend some money to get into it. So if you're living on a budget and things are super tight, don't quit your day job, literally, to pursue real estate. Now you can pursue the education classes, still work full time, but there's quite a few costs involved. You have your training cost. If you go online, you're going to spend between $250 and $300. I don't recommend an online course. I strongly recommend that you do an in-person training. I went through Success Licensing. It was about $350 at the time to go through that. And I would say the only reason I passed the test with the state was because of that in person learning. I have a link in the description below on that. It's not the only in person learning, but it's the one that I went to, and I was able to pass the course the first time. Uh, so you've got the $350. Then you got to take the test itself, and there's a couple of different fees. There's a fee to sign up to take the test, and a fee for the test itself. That's going to run you about $200. Then once you pass, if you pass, um, then you need to go pick a brand that you can work with so that your license can get accepted. And this is where it gets a little weird. So in the real estate industry, just because you passed your real estate agent exam doesn't mean you can sell anything. Every licensee or real estate agent has to be assigned to a broker. They cannot sell unless they're assigned to a broker. And there's some kind of weird things with that. If you're attached to a small firm broker where there's just one broker and no associate brokers or anything like that, if that broker dies or loses their license, you can't practice real estate. You are automatically on hold. Any deals you have going on uh, are suspended, and you have to get signed up with another broker uh, immediately in order to sell again. So just a weird little quirk that I didn't know about that. So there's some interesting things there, and there are a lot of agents out there. This is a very high employed field, if you will. Tons of agents, obviously less brokers, but agents are kind of a dime a dozen. And uh, the more agents a broker has under them, the wider their field, the more they might hit or miss. And so the brokers are always kind of the house that wins, kind of just like in gambling. So it's a very different kind of industry. Lots of rules and regulations to know. Is that the training itself is very intense, and if you plan on going through a online course, if you insist on going that way, strongly recommend that you set aside a week to do it, and then get to the exam as quickly as possible. Even if you're taking an in-person class, get to that exam as quickly as possible, because the longer you wait to take that exam, the more you forget, and there's a lot of minutia in there. Um, any questions that you have, feel free to put in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them. And if I get enough of the same kind of questions, perhaps I'll do another video that highlights exactly what's that process is like. So you've got the training fee, you've got the actual test taking fee, and then in order to be called a realtor, if you notice, anytime you see realtor, there's a little R, registered trademark there. Uh, you have to belong to GRAR, NAR, and MAR, which is Michigan Association of Realtors, National Association of Realtor, and for us in Grand Rapids, it's GRAR, Greater Regional Association of Realtors. Those all have fees, and you're going to spend about $1,200 to belong to those memberships. They're all three different. They do provide a lot of training, a lot of resources. That's how you get hooked up on the MLS. Excuse me, the multi-site listing form that gives you all of the houses across Michigan, whether they're pending, just came off of sale, all those sorts of things. So you really have to belong to them in order to be an effective real estate agent. And then there can be fees in the brand that you choose, in the broker that you choose. And that is, guys, I'm telling you, that is different for every single one of them. I made the mistake of when I went to pick my brand, I didn't just pick the first one that reached out. I visited 5 or 6 different brands, brokers, and all of them do their programs very different, and they all have their pitch on why you should pick them. For me personally, I'm not a big corporation guy. That's why I got out of the RV industry, is because that was going towards big corporate almost everywhere you looked. So I like a smaller brand. In all transparency, I'm with Success Realty, and I'll list my reasons in another video why I did that. But then those brands can have all kinds of fees. There's some that you have to pay up front to belong to their program. One of them was as high as like $3,500 just to get started. Some brands charge a small monthly fee for use of the office and printer. Some brands, they'll charge you for use of the printer, use of their CRM, use of making phone calls like it. So do your due diligence. I would say select 1 to 3, I'm sorry, 2 to 3, no more than 4 different brands to look at. If you go more than that, you'll just end up super confused. And if you're like me, have a really hard time making a decision because there's all little bits and pieces of each one that sound really appealing, and then they're actually not. So again, your startup costs originally, you're probably going to be at a minimum about $2,000 to $2,500 just to get started up front in the real estate industry there. So just know that going in. If you're on a limited income or you're living paycheck by paycheck, don't think that you can just jump in, because in order to start selling, there's a lot of education, there's a lot of detail, a lot of dotting the I's and crossing the T's, understanding your CRM, understanding how to put contracts together if you've never done those before. There's a lot of detail involved in those, tons of industry language. And so it can be a minimum of 3 to 6 months before you're generating an income. And so you need to just know you can work on the side, you can do some part-time gigs and that sort of a thing. But the more time you spend not building your business as a real estate agent, the longer it's going to take you to make money. And that's another part of the real estate industry that was kind of shocking to me, is real estate agents themselves are strictly 1099. You pay your own taxes. There is no insurance with whatever brand you go to. There's no car reimbursement. You pay for everything. Okay. And so everything's on your dime. You got to keep track of receipts. There's just a lot of detailed stuff that you really need to be aware of. Because if you're not a detail-oriented person, you're going to end up losing money well before you make money. And then also, it's a good idea to be a people person. I know that's kind of a duh, and what I mean by people person is you have a lot of people in your contact list, because your first few months of selling real estate is really relying on those who know you, like you, and trust you, and are willing to say, "Hey, my neighbor is looking to sell their house or was asking about a value. This is the guy that I would talk to." So those are just a few things to think about as you're examining whether real estate is right for you or not. Hope this video has been helpful. If it has been, make sure you subscribe and hit the like button there so that I can help grow this channel. So thank you, and we'll have another video coming shortly.